70 or so. Yeah. All right. Face down, sir. Face down. So you just said I did this 70 times and you don't know what to do.
Yep.
Perfect. Hands down there. Oh. Excellent. So I've adjusted James a handful of times. When I texted him yesterday, I said, "Is it okay if I bring the table and adjust you?" And I had a lot of volunteers offering for free adjustments.
I was going to say,
No. So I know James's X-rays pretty well. I actually looked at him this morning because I knew that this was going to happen. So my memory's not that good. I don't necessarily remember every little detail, but I do remember certain aspects of it. So there's things about James's lower back that means that there's a unique type of an adjustment that I need to do. There's aspects of his mid back that I'm going to adjust in certain ways. And one of his neck, I mean, you guys have all met him. It holds his head up. You know what goes on in there. It's weird. So there's some stress in there. But the adjustments are always meant to be gentle and simple. So there's different techniques that we use. Some of them are more aggressive and hands-on. Some of them are very light and gentle. I'll use tools like an activator, which doesn't seem like it does anything because it's like a door stopper with a spring in it, but it creates an impulse of motion that helps move a joint in the proper direction. So the James spine, there's certain movements that I like to do that I use like the table to help me with. This table doesn't quite lift and drop the way I'd like it to. So I'll adjust his lower back with a tool like this, moving his base of his spine forward to help alleviate tension and stress on the posture. When you move the base of the spine forward, it takes tension and stress off of the curve of the lower back. With exaggeration and curve, it often causes things to shift forward. So we'll move below those areas and we'll start to work to lift them up. And none of this is meant to be uncomfortable. None of it is meant to be painful. It's meant to be relaxing and gentle and relatively easy to do. X-rays are the primary way to assess, but one thing that we'll often look at is just patterns of motion from right to left. So what I'll want to feel is how the spine moves on each side from the front. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. You're probably going to get to this, but just out of curiosity.
Add a microphone.
What?
Microphone.
Oh, I knew that. We're probably going to touch on this in the future, but just out of curiosity, do you help anyone that have like TMJ issues or anything like that?
Yeah. Interestingly enough, so dentists do all the research on TMJ. As a chiropractor, we don't have enough money to do research, so we wait for other people to do it, and then we say, ha, what we do works. So dentists found that TMJ problems, 99% of the time, are not a jaw problem, they're a head posture problem. The head shifts forward, causing tension and stress on the skull, causing all the muscles that attach to the neck to pull backwards and dislodge the joint out of place. So opening and closing creates tension on the joint. So it's a leverage issue. Now you can have, the 1% of the time is the person that was in a car accident, they bit something too hard, they jammed something there. But most of the time that should even heal because the body's intelligent. But if the positioning's not where it belongs, it's hard to heal properly. So we have tremendous results with TMJ issues. And we work with the jaw itself too to try to alleviate tension and improve alignment. But people don't usually want me like slamming into their jaw when I'm pushing on stuff. But that's what I have a tool like that for as well. Okay, so we've got some rotation in this middle part of the back here and some tension at the upper part. So I'm going to just do a little bit of a release at the top and a nice easy stretch. And what people look for with an adjustment is that sound, that like pop. The pop is gas, it's not bones rubbing together. That would be awful if every time that pop happened, your bones were kind of clipping each other. That would be a really bad time. Nobody would want to ever come back to the table. And I have you go face up for me, too, Jim. It's gas. Inside the joint is nitrogen bubbles. You move that gas and the gas releases. Sometimes it doesn't make any sound. It's actually just soft tissue that's moving. And that's okay. The key is motion. It's not popping sounds. I'm going to have you give yourself a great big hug. I like to adjust people different ways. I really like to adjust James this way because I'm a hugger, and that is my nature. But in reality, it's actually due to his mid-back. He's got a little bit of an exaggerated posture there. So I want to make sure that we're creating a reduction of that, so we're moving it in the proper direction. So don't stare at my butt, but a nice full breath in, please. Just let all that air out. Beautiful. I should have mic'd his back. It makes it more fun when you hear it. And then I'll have you slide down just a tiny bit more, please. Now this is the part that everybody gets freaked out on, and those neck adjustments. These are the ones that get all
those are the best ones.
I could do that, but this table's not really designed for that. Now we're going to do a very gentle rotational maneuver. So the key with improving or with adjusting somebody's neck is putting it in the position it belongs. So with a curve and creating balance of alignment. So if you get a segment that shifts to the side or shifts too far forward, well, you want to shift it to the middle. Push it back to the back, to the back. Yes?
Do you work with people who've had, do you work with people who've had surgeries?
Yes, it depends on the surgery and how long ago it happened. I have patients that have disc replacements, cervical fusions. It depends on how much of the spine is fused will give us an idea of how much change we can make. And we have to modify how we treat that. But it changes our expectations. But from like if you've got like your full spine fused and you're like, I'd like more curve, I'm gonna say no. But if you've got one or two segments that are fused together, or a disc that's been replaced, we can work around that. And the key for that is to make sure that the structures above it and below it don't wear out. What they don't really tell you before a spine surgery is that you are much more likely to have 3 spine surgeries than you are to have 1. They don't tell you to. That's because the body wears out around that structure that's made out of metal. You're not made out of metal. So your body will compensate for that. But we can work with that to prevent that from ever happening. So, you're doing great. So, the neck adjustments, like I said, it's actually the most gentle adjustment that I do, aside from that tool over there. It takes the strength of like 6 fingers to adjust somebody's neck, not like the weight of my body. So when I adjust his mid-back, I'm using my body weight. That's intense. But with his neck, small structure, it doesn't take a whole lot. So we just create relaxation. I let his head rest on the table. We do a small extension. Just gas, just gas. His head will not end up in my hands afterwards.
That sounded like it felt amazing.
We do adjustments for joints outside of the spine as well. Anything that has a joint can move.
My hip just popped. You guys couldn't hear it though.
Yeah. Everything that has a joint is designed to move. If it's not moving, it's breaking down.
I heard that one.
If it does that, if it breaks down enough, it'll develop arthritis, degeneration, loss of function, and then eventually they'll replace it. And the replacement never works as well. Do your wrists and elbows too. I think that's towards the end.
Some of the adults, when I was a kid, tried to tell me popping my joints would cause arthritis.
Man, I got an audience over here. What?
Yeah, it's really. I see you got a little swelling out there too.
Yeah, a little RA flare up. He's been helping me deal with it for a while.
Did we do laser on this? All right, come on up. Everybody give a hand to